Morning YouTubes, afternoon, evening, whatever it may be, wherever you may be in the world. And how is everybody? Hope you're well. Now obviously I'm recording this from my trusty, lovely 2021 BMW i3. So I'm not going to spend a whole heap of time staring at the camera because I'm driving. And I just want to do a quick video of my first 10,000 miles with this car. In fact, bear with me. Let's have a look. Oh, just over 10,000 miles. This car is now up to 28,137 miles as I record this video. And I've had this for a year and a half, maybe, something like that. And I wanted to give a view of what it's like living. Oh, it's another i3. Go on, give me a wave. Give me a wave. Black i3 on the A20, just outside Sellinge. On the 19th of August 2025, lady driver, curly hair, glasses. Why didn't you wave at me? We could be i3 friends. Anyway, look, I'm digressing. What it's like living with an i3 for the first 10,000 miles and 18 months. And as I say, I still am. Died in the wall, petrol head. I love my petrol vehicles. Previous to this car, I dailied. I had two 911s. I dailied them for 4 years. 4 years of dailying them, which, you don't do that unless you're a petrol head. I've also owned two Alfa Romeos, okay? But my main petrol kick is from motorcycles. That's my thing. And if you subscribe to this channel and you do get the occasional notification, you will see that it is mostly motorcycle related, I'm afraid. Apologies if you get a lot of light balance issues. As we go through light and dark, it's the way I've put this camera. I wonder if I can press the screen, if it will do it. Probably won't. Anyway, I'm not going to go to that. So i3, 10,000 miles. What has gone wrong with it? Well, you might be shocked to hear nothing. Not a single thing. I have done nothing to this car. I've topped the washer fluid up. That's it. That is my maintenance. That is electric vehicle maintenance on the whole. I've topped the washer fluid up. I've washed it a few times. It's a bit mucky at the moment because we've got a hosepipe ban currently, so it doesn't get washed. But that's life, isn't it? Servicing wise, I'm on a BMW scheme. I pay £15 and some pennies a month on the service plan that I'm on, which means that every 2 years, when I go to BMW and put this in for a service, it had the first one on the plan back in May. I wander into the lovely showroom, I give them the key, I have a nice coffee if I want one, and a biscuit, or I go for a wander. They service my car, replace whatever needs doing, which isn't a lot, to be fair. They replace the brake fluid, cabin filters, give it a check over, plug it into their machine, updates, all that sort of stuff. I pick it up for nothing. I know I've already paid for it, but effectively, unlike my 911s, I'm not pulling out a very wobbly card to pay someone a huge amount of money. So that's what it's cost me, £15 a month. Electricity, the big one. Now, anyone that's got one of these will know that where you drive it has a huge influence on how many miles you get per kilowatt of electricity. Kilowatt hour, kilowatt, someone write in the comments what it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Now, I use this as a commuter. Most of my travelling is on the motorway between my home and where I park to then jump on the train and go to France, because that's where I work. So I'm driving this in the worst possible conditions. High speed, 70 miles an hour on the motorway is what I do. In the winter, I can get 3 to 3.5 miles per kilowatt. In the summer, I get 4.5, 5. If the traffic's slow, 5. So I've done a calculation for 10,000 miles, and I based it on 3.5, which is on the low side, but you are going to get people going, oh, you know, you've over-exaggerated. Well, if anything, I've under-exaggerated, because I've put 3.5. In fact, right, at the moment, my average is 3.9, all right? And that is pure motorway use. So this has had a few fairly quick runs recently. So again, that's probably low, but I've averaged on 3.5. 10,000 miles, 3.5, 7p a kilowatt or kilowatt hour, whatever it is, would cost exactly £200 for 10,000 miles. Did a quick calculation, 10,000 miles in my last 911 would have cost just over £2,700. Now, that's a huge saving. If this is your commuter car, that is a massive saving, especially if you bought a cheap i3. Imagine buying one of these, the early 60 watt battery or 60 kilowatt battery. The one that says 60, you know what I mean. You can get those now for £5,000. So the savings that you can make, you've got a free car after 2 years, 3 years, however you want to work it out. I know you still got servicing to go into that, but as I said, 2 years servicing, £15 a month. It's nothing. Tyres. Tyres are probably the biggest thing that people complain about on these cars is the cost of tyres. I don't complain. This is going to need a pair of rear tyres at some point. They were noticed that BMW is getting low, and they are. They're probably 3 mil, something like that. So we'll need a pair of tyres soon. Tyres are £150, £160 each, something like that. Well, the last pair of tyres I bought for my last 911 cost me just short of £800. 800 quid for 2 tyres. What's that in dollars? $1,100, $1,200. So I know that's a bit of a wild difference in vehicle, but that's what I've got to compare it against for my costs. If you're driving a Nissan Qashqai, they're probably going to be, what are they going to be, 60, 70 quid a tyre? I don't know, I'm guessing 80 quid a tyre. But, so yeah, they are more expensive, but they don't need to be if you don't constantly nip it off the line. And I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of using that instant EV torque to smoke away from the line and be, well, I think I've yet to be beaten off the line. I had a guy in a X3M, was it, with a noisy pipe, and I got the jump on him because he just wasn't expecting it. And I planted my foot away from these set of traffic lights. I left him for dead up to about 50, because obviously it took him time to go, oh, hold on a minute, what's going on here? And he came flying past me with his exhaust, making a rather nice noise, I've got to say. But yeah, it did obviously give him a bit of a shock. So you can wear your tyres out quicker than you need to, or you can just select Eco or Eco Pro, and that softens the power delivery. Don't do that. But that's what it's cost me. Interior wise, wear on this car. This car has done, as I say, 28,000 miles, and I have the Lodge interior, which, if you can see it, is the lovely beigey browny wool with, I'm going to call it pleather. It's not leather, it's pleather, plastic leather, with the similar trim on the doors, and obviously you can't see it, I don't think. Can you see a little sneaky bit in the corner there? Eucalyptus dash. I love this interior. This is one of my must-haves when I chose this car. It had to have the Harman Kardon stereo. It had to be in a bright colour, preferably gold. My car is galvanic gold, and it had to have this interior. On all the forums, everyone says, don't get that interior. It stains, you get watermarks on it, it doesn't wear. This interior still looks absolutely brand new. This car still smells like a brand new car. It's BMW, it's BMW quality. I know that might not be what it maybe used to be decades ago, but you are still paying for those quality materials and it to be screwed together properly. It's not a cheap car to buy. when they were new anyway. Obviously they are now because of depreciation. I will talk about depreciation. This car is worth thousands less than I paid for it. That's life, you know. I'm not gonna cry about it because when I bought the car it was 3 years old. It hadn't yet finished its depreciation dive. It will do at some point. Does it depreciate more than it cost me to run a year? No, I don't think it does. If I compare it to my last car, which is the only thing I've got to compare against for servicing and what have you, no, it doesn't. This has saved me money. It saved me money at the loss of driving a 911 and listening to that exhaust pipe in tunnels, admittedly, but it does exactly what I need to do when I need to do it. So all in all, am I a convert? Am I an EV convert? I think I am. I'm not an EV evangelist, as there was a guy that he rants about a lot of stuff. I can't remember what his name is. Mac someone. He had he bought a Porsche, a Taycan. He lost a lot of money. I think that's probably why he was a bit angry and bitter. But there you go. Am I an evangelist? Yes and no. For what I need a car to do, which is a commuter car, a round town car, a pop to Tesco's car, this is absolutely perfect. It does everything I want in smooth, quiet comfort. Would I ever buy a petrol car again? At the moment, the answer is no. This does everything I need. If I've got a long trip, I recharge it at service stations while I have my lunch. If I'm not in a rush, what is the rush? It does, you know, every long trip I've taken have taken me no longer than it would have done in an internal combustion engine car. So once you get over that, once you've had an EV and you realise that a lot of this stuff is hype from the media or anti-EV people or whatever, you then start to find out what these are really like, and they're not as people portray them. Battery life. I'm on a lot of the i3 pages. If you're watching this, you might have seen this link on an IV page, i3 page. The 60 kilowatt hour batteries, or 60 watt batteries, amp hour, 60 amp hour, whatever they are, I can't remember. I'm having a brain fade. They're all still going strong. These 10-year-old cars, do you remember these batteries won't last? They are 5 years old, you've got to buy a new battery at £10,000. What a load of tosh that turned out to be. Maybe on early weird stuff, like those odd dodgy Nissans with the old Chanamo power connectors, maybe that is true, maybe that is the case. But on these with their battery tech and their battery management systems, yeah, it's turned out to be an absolute load of rubbish. No one has got any massive issues. Now, i3 reliability, do they have issues? Yes, they do. So does every other car. One of my 911s, the earliest 911 I had, some motors had a habit of eating the engines. The coating would wear off of the piston, and the piston would then rub on the bore. It was called bore score, and they would eat themselves at a rebuild cost of £15,000 to £20,000. Porsche technology, Porsche engineering. You get the point I'm making. There are very few cars that are built that don't have a fault. Now on these, I think the biggest fault I've read from people is the air compressor units on earlier cars failing, and bits of the compressor can find their way into the cooling system and causes a bit of chaos. That can be expensive. Later cars don't have that issue, but that's one of the things that can go wrong. I've got to admit, most of the faults I see on the pages are people that have problems with the 12 volt battery. The 12 volt battery in the car has a finite life, and obviously in a car with an internal combustion engine, you know when it's dying because you jump in it one day, you go to turn it over and it goes whoop, whoop, and it doesn't start, and you go, oh bugger, I've got a flat battery, or I've got a dead battery, and you replace it. In an EV, you don't really get that. The first time you have a problem is when you start to get disco lights on the dashboard and things start to not work properly. And then you need to put a new 12 volt in and get it coded by a dealer. So preemptive maintenance. Wisely, who are probably the biggest i3 maintenance guys, vehicle suppliers, that sort of stuff in the UK. They're the sort of go-to experts. I've yet to see a bad word said about them. I've not used them, but I will be using them when my service plan runs out. This will be going to Wisely. They do preemptive changes. They normally reckon to change the batteries after a certain lifespan. I can't remember what it is now, so I'm not going to say it. 5 years? I don't know. But I'll be doing that on this car. I'll be getting a new battery at probably the 5-year period for, what are they, 120 quid? Something like that. It's not the end of the world, is it? Other than that, this car has been absolutely perfect. It has been bomb-proof. It has done everything I've wanted it to do when I've wanted it to do it. The joys of getting into a warm, defrosted car on a cold day cannot be trying to think of the word now, underestimated. Sitting on my sofa having breakfast with a mug of tea and pressing the button on the fob or pressing the app and then walking out to a warm defrosted car at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning in winter, bliss. Similar to baking hot day, same thing, fob or the app, getting into an ice cold car on a summer's day. Yeah. They say it's the future, but it's not the future, it's the present. Yeah. So as I say, would I change this to a petrol car? Not a hope. Will I buy another EV? Absolutely. Would I buy another i3? Absolutely. But unfortunately, I don't make them anymore. This was probably the newest, lowest mileage i3 I could find at the time that fitted my specs. So I bought this 3 years old, 17,000 miles. It had just finished its lease scheme or PCP scheme or whatever people used to buy these under. So happy days. Anyway, enough of my ramblings, and hopefully if you're watching this video, it might be because you've either got an i3 and you either agree or disagree. Chuck a comment in either way, or you're looking for an i3. If you are looking for an i3, there's a lot of good pages on Facebook, i3 owners, UK pages and stuff like that. Well worth going on, because you will learn stuff about your car every day. I'm still learning stuff about this. So if you've enjoyed it, chuck it a thumbs up and all that sort of rubbish, and hit the subscribe button. It costs you nothing, and it helps get this sort of rubbish out to other people that might be interested. And as I say, I don't do a huge amount of i3 stuff, but there will be more stuff on this car as I live with it and continue to live with it. But if you like motorcycles as well, hit the button, because I do a lot of waffling and stuff about motorcycles, because that's where I love my love of petrol engine things come from. And right, I'm going to head home now, have a cheeky little coffee, refill the car without going to a petrol station. Just get home, plug it into my wall, and it will do it all tonight at 7p. Bliss. Anyway, I'm waffling absolute rubbish now. Stay safe all, and I'll see you on the next episode of my inane dribbling. Take care. Oh, sorry about the constant changes of light. I will have to try and work out a way of doing better videos. You know what I'm like anyway. See you all soon. Cheers.